of intuition versus reasoning many times. And one day we said which were the advantages of one over the other, remember?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
How do you base, Mickey, usually, how do you base, or not base, how do you describe the advantages of intuition over reasoning? In general terms, of course, this demands a deep, thorough analysis, but in general terms, which are the advantages of intuition over reasoning, if we can say that?
Well, I would say that intuition is something quicker.
Quicker, yeah,
So
it's absolutely.
in occasions, it can save you of different situations because you need to act uh, well quicker, and I would say that intuition in those cases is necessary. But obviously, we can have the time to analyze the situation. Uh, Always what was the other?
Reasoning
The reasoning is better.
is better. So you would say that intuition is quicker in situations that require a fast response,
Yeah.
or better because it's quicker.
hmm
So we would say that it's quicker. Consequently, is better in situations that require a fast response. In, like what situations would you say that require a fast response in a general sense, of
Mm,
course?
well, for example, mm, oh, there are so many situations. Probably that you are doing a test and the time is you are overtime, so you are between one and another. So probably if you don't know the answer, it's good acting intuition. Obviously, there's no there's no like rule that you're gonna be correct, but well, I think that that could be a situation where you can use it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Remember that we also mentioned a case in which there was a fire in a building and the firefighters were inside the room, and suddenly the captain or the manager of the operation told them all to come out. Hey, come out quickly, quickly. And 10 seconds after the last one came out, the building exploded.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that you told us that story.
Yeah, well, that was the result of good intuition. He needed to take the decision in seconds, and that saved the life of him and his crew. So, yeah, that is true. However, there are some disadvantages. What disadvantages could you say that intuition can have? Not necessarily all the time, but sometimes intuition can have some drawbacks. What are these drawbacks that intuition can have?
Well, first of all, that intuition is not always accurate.
Okay, that's true. That is true. It's not always accurate. Why do you? That's very true. Why can that be, Mickey?
Mm, because I think, well, for example, one advantage could be that intuition could help us in, um, like in decision making in familiar context, because we have a context of how our family thinks or how our family acts, and probably that could be an advantage. But in the same time, I think that it's a disadvantage because I think that intuition is based in our context, and probably in some occasions or situations or context could be like limited.
In some
So
occasions, what? Pardon me.
yeah, I think that our context could be like limited, so we don't know something above that, and yeah, I think that in occasions intuition leads to overconfidence too.
It leads to overconfidence. Yes, it leads to overconfidence. That's very appropriate comment. What situations could you cite? Could you name in which it leads to overconfidence?
I don't know, probably uh, at the moment that we meet a person and we're starting uh, like creating judgments about this person just because I don't know this person give us a, a perception and we relate to something that happened to us in the past probably could be one situation.
As in the past. And you can relate to this person in a positive or negative way, or even neutral. You can say, well,
Yeah.
I relate to this person. He can or cannot help us. He can be useful or may not be useful. When in reality, the reality could be totally different, right? He can be a great asset. He can give a great support, a great assistance and aid, great ideas. And maybe I was considering him like a neutral
Hmm.
perspective, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Then that is probably because his or her circumstances were her circumstances were difficult at that remote time. So I remember, oh, Pepe couldn't help me that time because so he may or may not be reliable, but maybe at that time he had difficult times, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And now in this situation he's able to help us or give us a great assistance. Or could be the opposite. What would be the opposite example, Mickey?
Um yeah, for example, we met a person when he was or she was in good times to her
Okay.
or to she or to him,
Yes.
and probably we met this person afterwards. Could be bad times, and we have the idea that it's the person like the first time that we met. So probably that could be a confusion there too.
Exactly. Yeah, because circumstances change, right?
Hmm.
The contexts can change, and we don't know. And the fortuitous nature of contexts can make situations of life unpredictable. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Well, the other day we were talking about a guy by the name of Edgar Morin, who's a fantastic guy. He's a great guy. And he's still alive, believe it or not, he's still alive. He's
Hmm.
103 years old. He's a guy from France. And he was working on complexity and complex
Hmm.
systems. And one of the topics that he deals with is the unpredictability, not only of life, but in general of events. What is your conception, Mickey? How do you cope with the concept of unpredictability, something that is difficult to predict? How do you analyze this concept?
Hmm. Well, I think that there are certain situations, or there's certain things that are difficult to predict, and we need to keep in mind that is what it is. In occasions, we want to have like the control of everything, but in occasions, is out of our hands. So it is important to understand that that yeah, that there are things that are not uh, so easy to predict, and that need a, a bigger effort to analyze and to determine what could happen.
Okay, which are the events that people would normally want to predict? I mean, some events you really don't care, right? Well, I don't care if this happens or doesn't happen. But some others you really want we want to predict them. Which would be situations or events that you would like to prevent, or we would like to prevent, or people in general would like to predict? I'm sorry. Which events would we want to predict, and which ones we wouldn't want? We don't care. Some of us we don't care if they happen or don't happen.
Yeah, probably. Well, there are so many. Could be the weather.
The weather. Okay, the weather's
Mm,
one. Perfect.
Probably the the marketplace too.
The marketplace.
Hmm.
How
Yeah,
is that? Like for example, or
yeah. For example, I don't know. Predict what will be the new trending or the new trend to sell.
new trends to sell anything, right? I
Yeah,
suppose
anything.
anything. Okay, that is important to predict. Mm,
Mm, probably the the traffic jam and transport.
traffic jams and transportation. Uh, peak hours or rush hours.
Yeah.
Rush hours. And okay, that's great information. I would like to predict, in my case, for example, if the growth of the city and the way people migrate inside. In other words, the mobility inside a city, inside the city. How people migrate inside the city. Why would you want to do that? Because, well, if you live in a city, you would like to understand how the evolution of the city can affect what you do and where you live and how you live, the, the use of your time.
Yeah, of course. Affects everything, I think so.
It affects everything, right? Exactly. Okay, these are events that you would like to predict. One more, Mickey, and then we go to the next topic.
Mm, the natural disasters.
Natural disasters, totally true. Natural disasters. All right, you would like to predict this? Natural disasters. Okay. Now, events that you don't care if they happen or not. Events we don't care if they happen.
Mm, probably. Mm, well, I don't know if it's that we don't want to predict, but I think that in occasions it's just impossible. I think that, for example, there exist, uh, as we mentioned, events that we don't know if gonna happen or not. Probably, uh, but like something that we don't want to predict.
We
I don't
don't
know. At
care. We
least,
don't care. That you say, I don't care if they happen or not. For example, in my case, a political outcome, If PAN, PRD, or Moreno, whoever wins the elections, I really don't care because I teach classes. So if it is one party or the other, personally speaking, it does not affect me. If I was in politics and I adhere myself to a party, I would say, well, I want this party to win. But in my
yeah,
personal
of
case,
course.
it does not affect me. Maybe other people, yes, but in my personal case, it does not. And it's valid that they
Hmm.
affect other people. I mean, if a friend of mine likes PAN or likes PRI or likes PRD or likes whatever, it is totally valid that he wants to predict that. Right? But in my case,
Yeah.
I'm a teacher, so it does not affect me really.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that it's like more like subjective, right? For
Subjective, totally
example,
true.
mm, I don't care. Well, in my opinion, I don't care when I'm gonna pass away. For me, at least now it doesn't affect me, and it's not something that I'm thinking. But yeah, for me, I know that it's a reality and that it's something that's gonna one day happen, and yeah, I don't give a lot of attention to that.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's very mature and very nice. Actually, we being that young, yeah, that's very smart. People shouldn't be worrying about when we're gonna go away, when we're gonna pass away. Moreover, if you are young and healthy, right? Yeah, if you
Yeah,
are
but
healthy.
hmm, yeah, tell me.
Yeah, you were saying that it does not affect you. Well,
Hmm.
it shouldn't. We shouldn't be worried every day about the events. Now, let me share something with you that I talked about with my brother recently, and this is the brother with whom I have probably a closest connection. And he has a couple of friends who are husband and wife, and the lady was coming from the airport. The husband went to pick her up, and then something happened called T-bone. T-bone is like a T-bone, like the piece of meat, right?
Hmm.
They were driving in this direction, and the car of a guy that had been drinking was a drunkard. He was totally unsober. Hit him in this direction, and the lady is now in coma, and the man is in severe condition. He's out of danger. She still is, and they are fantastic people. And the comment that I had with my brother and that I want to share with you is life can, your life, my life, the life of anyone can change overnight. From
Hmm.
being very wealthy, very hardworking people, they were professors. She was giving a conference in Washington. She came back to Phoenix in Arizona, and then this guy that had been drinking, that I don't know
Wow.
his life, hit him, and then now she's in coma and he's in the hospital in a serious condition. The life can change, and that is unpredictable. How can you predict that a guy is going to hit you in a T-bone way, right? Life changes overnight, can change overnight, and we need to think about that occasionally. That was the conclusion. Not all the time, because then you live under constant stress, and that is not life, right? But from time to time, we need to think that life can change overnight. Not not that you live with that thought all your life, and like you said, one day I'm gonna die. Yes, of course, but it's not something that worries you. So that's a very smart comment, I think. You know that things can happen. Well, if they happen, they will happen, and
Yeah.
so you continue living your life, right? But from time to time, we need to be able, like, to adapt to new situations, new conditions, because these changes can occur, not for the bad necessarily. This can happen for the good, for the better.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe the T-bone works in your favor, not necessarily against you. What do you think about that concept? I told my brother that. What do you think about this, Mickey?
Yeah, of course. It makes sense. In occasions, I think that we have fear to changes, but at the end, we don't know how could be the outcome at the end. So yeah, I think that it's important to have like open mind, understand that things could happen and could change from one day to other, and that it is normal.
Yeah, it is
Communication
normal.
is normal.
Yeah, yeah, go, Mickey. Yes, it's
Yeah.
normal.
Hmm.
So, what is a characteristic that people would have, and people normally have, which when you are able to cope with new situations, cope, what is this ability? New and unexpected situations, which is a great quality that most people have, really. Many people have this ability. What is this quality that people have? Is add what? Adapt, adaptib-
Adaptable.
adaptability.
Adaptability. Yeah.
What do you think of this capacity that people have?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's a capacity that uh, all of us, I think that we must learn that capacity because at the end we need to be capable to adapt to the changes. I think that it's like the quote of Charles Darwin. I don't remember exactly how it's translated to English, but uh, that the species who remains uh, is the species who is capable to adapt to the change. In few words,
Is the one which is capable to adapt to it.
to the change.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's very important. Very, very important. So the species that's going to prevail, the species which prevails is the one which is capable to adapt to the change. Yeah, that's very true. And actually that is the principle of evolution.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most important discoveries of the recent centuries, that you are able to adapt to the unpredictable changes. And that's why reasoning about the future uh, is well, about the future, the present, and the past is important. Which are advantages of reasoning over intuition? Because also reasoning has a strong power. Which are the advantages? Why reasoning is sometimes better?
Mm, well, because in occasions the situations requires reasoning. Obviously, if you have a clear idea what is happening, if you have uh, an analysis of the situation, probably it will be more possible uh, that the decision that you're making will be correct instead that you just answer or act according to your intuition.
Okay, correct. That's very important. And well as it has advantages because your decision can be more precise, more accurate, as you say. Which are the disadvantages? A drawback can be
Mm, disadvantages of the reasoning?
of reasoning. Yes, a drawback or
Yeah,
disadvantage.
it could be that in occasions we don't have enough time to do a reasoning, so to do an analysis. So in occasions mm, we must act according with our intuition. That could
Okay,
be, I think, that the bigger disadvantage.
okay, that's very true. Very absolutely true. Sometimes also the fact that we have too many alternatives. This can lead to indecision. This can lead to indecision. You say, well, yes or no, right? Like the joke of the guy, right? There was a guy that went to the Catholic priest to confess himself. He wanted to
Hmm.
confess his sins, and then the father asked him, "Son, what is your problem?" Uh, well, father, they call me the undecisive.
In
Uh,
this case.
undecisive. They call me the undecisive because I don't make decisions. And the father asked him, "But son, but why? Is that true? Is that true?" And then he says, "Well, yes, but no."
Yeah, I understood that feeling.
So well, you understand. The thing is that sometimes we don't make a decision because too much analysis, right?
uh, yeah, absolutely.
They call it eternal planning. Eternal planning. So you plan and plan and plan and plan, and you plan some. We plan so much, then we don't make a decision. So that's the drawback. And well,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that that could be a disadvantage too. That in occasions we want to plan everything that at the end we don't do that decision. So yeah, that's a disadvantage too.
yeah. Well, let's deepen a little bit more about Maureen's theory of complex systems. Um, Do you want to read something about him, please, and his ideas, Mickey, please? Edgar
Yeah,
Morin from France. Let's see what you find about him, please.
yeah.
Let's see what you find about Edgar Morin.
Mm, well, I found here his biography, but mm, I'm searching in English because the majority of the websites are in Spanish.
Yes, 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 yes.
Mm, well, yeah, I found here something.
Okay.
Mm, it's loading.
Okay, sure, no problem. Yeah, there are lots of books from Edgar Morin or Edgar Morin about the complex thought, and
Yeah, I found here like his uh, well, the different books that he has written. Edgar Morin was born in Paris in 1921. Independent political actor, contemporary sociologist, founder of the so-called complex thought, is Emeritus Director of Research at the National Center of Scientific Research, where he chairs the Science Committee and Citizens. His work published in Spanish covers many avenues of exploration, cinema, or the imaginary man, and here appears more books. But let me see if I can find more more information. There's a video of him.
oh, really?
Uh, it says Edgar Morin, Seven Complex Lessons in Education.
Yeah, he's a great pedagogue. He's a fantastic guy.
Dr. Edgar Morin. Mm, I found here like an like an article of El País about him. Here
Okay.
says philosopher Edgar Morin at the age of 101,
Wow.
whenever I'm possessed by the force of life, the specter of death recedes. In a conversation with El País, the great French thinker reflects on existence and invites us to cultivate the poetic side of living. He has just published a dissident book on the war in Ukraine and has two more works forthcoming in the summer. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing what he has done. Uh,
Yeah, and here's like an interview of him.
oh, okay. You wanna share it? Maybe we can take a look at that interview for a moment. It's not too long, right? Maybe 1 or 2 minutes.
Well, the interview is written. It appears the question and then the answer that he said.
Ah, okay. Maybe maybe we can take a quick look at it. You wanna show
Hmm.
it, Mickey? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mm,
Thanks. Thank you.
can you see it?
Yeah. Here it is. Very interesting. Let's see about him. Okay. Let's take a look at it. Do you wanna read it, Mickey, please?
Yeah.
Endangered species.
Moran is part of an endangered species, the great intellectuals of the 20th century. He has written more than 20 books, in addition to other short works and collection of interviews. And in France, he has just published The Guerre in Guerre, the 1940, All Ukraine, From War to War from 1940, to, to Ukraine. In this dissident essay, he goes against the current that is dominant in Western media, making a clear plea for peace in a war that has shaken the world since February of 2022. In June, Moran plans to publish another work, Encore un peu, once again, a little more, and in September another, co-written with the woman who sustains him, Sabah Abou Salam, a Moroccan sociologist. He met his wife at the conference in 2009. Huh, wow.
The 8 of 80. Okay, in
Yeah,
what? Yes, right?
yeah, more or less. Uh,
Okay.
a reference for the French left and an inspiration for Spain's 2015 anti-austerity protests. This descendant of Spanish Sephardic Jews, who was born with the name Edgar Nahom, is a humanist who has always liked to intervene in public debates. Meanwhile, in the intellectual world, he is recognized for the publication of 6 volumes of multidisciplinary reflections between 1977 and 2004, where he develops the keys to complex thought. Morin divides his time between Morocco, Paris, and Montpellier in the south of France. He receives advice in one of his favorite concerns of Marrakech, the Es Sari Palace, which has been converted into a hotel. It has an orchard filled with birds and palm trees. He's spending time here because the air conditioning is broken in his house, making the conditions unbearable. Um, here starts the interview. The weight of 101 years lived is suddenly lifted as soon as the recorder is turned on. Moran starts speaking and begins to glow. The momentum breaks through his voice. His hands begin to accompany the inflections in his words. The first question: you begin your new book by evoking the first Luftwaffe bombardments that annihilated Rotterdam in May of 1940. You were assigned to the General Staff of the First Army, commanded by Lattre de Tassigny. Did the horrors of war that you experienced push you to write a book advocating for peace? And he answered, the images of the war in Ukraine, the destroyed buildings, the corpses of civilians, all this reminded me of the wars I lived through, especially World War II. Back then, I saw cities like Hamburg and Mannheim completely destroyed.
Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah. Continue.
Yes, please.
In your book, you write that any war in the name of good actually involves evil. Does this occur in Ukraine?
Well, that's a good question. What do you think about this, Mickey? I say I want to instill democracy in an undemocratic place or country. Or the house of my neighbor, the father is spanking his children, and that is not good. That's not good education. I'm going to intervene. I'm going to invade his house, and I'm going to show this father that he should not educate his children like that. So maybe I'm gonna kill some people, but I'm gonna teach him how to educate his children. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. I remember more or less a quote who says like, uh, "Humans are the only species that wants to find peace with war," and I think uh, that it's true.
Yeah,
In occasions, they sell us the word that well is for save that and that and that, and there's always something behind it. So
yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunately.
That's a great comment, Mickey. Actually, very true. That's very true. Okay, well, let's see how Moran responds to this question, please.
Yes, but not at such a massive level. Although Putin's Russia is guilty of having attacked and even of having tried to annex Ukraine, there are war crimes that have been committed on both sides. There is war propaganda on both sides, war favor lies, false information, hitting what is negative for your side. I want our contemporaries to be aware of this, especially since in France, for example, there has been a kind of beatification of Ukraine, at the same time that the village intentions have been attributed to Putin.
Well, what do you think about this? Mickey, what's your comment? This is a very interesting comment. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that uh, it's related that with what we were speaking. That in occasions we just see one part of the story and we don't understand exactly the what's really happening because well, the media, the news, everything that they send us or they sell us what is right and what is not affect us in a way of thinking. That's why it is important to be aware of. I think that try to understand more or less both sides and well, I don't know. At least in war, I think that we must be neutral. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very, very smart.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with you. And the reason is that sometimes you don't know what hidden interests can be behind stages, behind the cards. I
Yeah.
advocate for democracy. Yeah, but why always democracy is missing in countries that have oil or petrol or gas or natural resources, right? Why I advocate for democracy in Chicago, for example, or in the slums of East LA, Los Angeles? I mean, I can also look to instill democracy in the poor neighborhoods of Houston or Dallas, right? But I don't do it because they don't have oil or petrol or gas or something. So, well,
Hmm.
democracy is
Yeah.
always instilled in countries that have petrol. That makes the invasion suspicious in the best of the
Absolutely.
cases.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, let's see the next question, Mickey, please. Can we?
Yeah.
Let me put the whole screen, the complete screen. All right.
Um, aren't Putin's intentions diabolical? What is diabolical about Putin? Above all, is his internal repression of his opponents and the dictatorship he maintains in Russia. We're in the middle of war, which evidently has criminal aspects, but we're informed of the action of the Russians by the Ukraine. There's a fog of information. Well, yeah, that's true. Exactly what we're saying.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Very true. And then,
In the book, you make a clear plea for peace, but peace means making concessions to an invader, to Putin. When the forces of two adversaries are equal, compromise can be reached. Crimea in 2014 had 1,400,000 Russians, 500,000 Ukrainians, and 400,000 Tatars in the census. Given history and demographics, an agreement could be sought in this area. But now, it's not clear why Ukraine is asking for a monopoly on Crimea. A compromise can be sought. Donbas is an extremely mineral-rich region that began to be industrialized by Tsarist Russia at the end of the 19th century, and it was Stalin's USSR that hyper-industrialized it. A large part of the engineers and workers that are of Russian origin. The question could be raised that perhaps the wealth of Donbas could be jointly exploited.
so at the end, it's an economic interest. It's not about democracy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what angers me, makes me really well, not furious but angry, is that propaganda says a version because the media, the newspapers, the TV channels, they also have interests or alliances. If I am a close friend to the right, I'm going to speak in favor of the right. If I am a close friend to the left, I'm going to speak in favor of the left. And if I am neutral, I'm going to have two enemies. So I,
Well,
uh,
yeah, that's true.
that's why Machiavelli said that it's always better to have one ally, the right or left, because if you are neutral, both sides will despise you and say, "Well, he didn't want to be my friend when I needed him," right? So that's another phrase from Machiavelli that we need to analyze one day.
Yeah, yeah,
What do you
yeah,
think?
that is true. Uh-huh.
What do you think about neutrality, Mickey? I am a neutral in many cases, but it has also the drawbacks, and I have suffered some drawbacks. In no, not that I have lost something or nothing, but what do you think about this being neutral?
Well, yeah, I think that it's. it is important to understand both parts, but I think that depending on the situation, for example, I have been in situations where my family are talking about politics, and one is completely morena and the other is completely pan,
Yeah, that's
and
very common.
and the
I know.
same
Yeah.
conversations, the same arguments, and it's like, well, to be honest, obviously I know that it affects me, but it's not everything fault of the government, and I always try to don't give too much attention to that because it's like, well, they are they are losing the moment of for probably a good meal just for talking to politics and just to get anger one with the other. So in occasions, I think that it's important to be neutral and best focus on other things and more in the things that you don't have the control. I think so.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely exactly the same event or situation that happens at home also, and it's yeah, that's exactly the same. So you understand it very clearly. Politics, there is a positive thing about that. I think I don't know if you agree or not, but it creates some adrenaline. It gives like a little bit of salt to the conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's true.
it's like when brothers. We're for five brothers, and you push your brother a little, you push him a little, you challenge him, right? And then he responds. So you're more or less training yourselves to argumentation, and that has a positive because it's like I mean, imagine a mother leopard with the cubs. The cubs are playing; they don't hurt each other, but they are challenging. They push each other a little bit, and
Mhm.
they gain some fighting ability, which is necessary when you are in a real situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is true. At the end, well, at least here in my house, and I think that at least in your house, those conversations don't go besides that. Just finish the conversation and that's all. And
Yeah,
yeah, in
exactly.
occasion, I think that yeah, it's important to understand the other part because you can have like a clear idea of why he is thinking in that way, and at the end, you do your own analysis of what is correct and what is not according to you. So yeah, I'm not saying that the debates are uh, are bad, no, but I think that there are always times to do that, and in
Yeah, that
occasion, I
is
think that we lose the focus on what we are really doing.
that's very true too. And maybe that's a good comment that we need. I need to introduce here at home sometimes. That hey, listen, we are wasting valuable time that we can be talking about other things, and we talk about this conversation. We should change the topic to something more amiable or more friendly, right?
Yeah, in occasions, in occasions.
That's a great comment, Mickey. Thanks. Well, let's see how this continues, please. Then.
Yeah. Should these kinds of concessions be made? This could be a compromise solution to obtain the sovereignty, how is it?
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty of Ukraine. Its accession to the European Union and its military neutrality. We mustn't forget that Americans played a key role in the entire technology that led to the war. With the expansion of NATO, there's a new Russian imperialism of a pan-Slavic character. But there's also a US imperialism that is present in political, economic, and military way. Ukraine, in its search for independence and sovereignty, is the scene of a conflict between two imperialisms. With this book, I knew that this notion was not in the mainstream. I know very well that it's dissident in the current circumstances. I was even in danger of being attacked. You know, in France, anyone who disagrees with the current policy is immediately branded to be pro-Putin.
Yeah, which is something that the media always does as a
Mhm.
strategy, and that comes from the Second World War. Oh, you're a Nazi, or you're an anti-Nazi, or you are people become something, even if your opinion may be temporary or not even important. Oh, you are a communist. Oh, you are a socialist. You're a capitalist. People always become something that the media attaches you if they don't like what you're doing. What
Yeah,
what what do you think of that, Mickey?
Absolutely, I have seen the same here in, well, in these election times here in our country, and it's something that angers me a little bit because I have seen videos that are just shorts of 15 seconds when they, how can I say, they uh, a conversation, they go out of context. I don't know how to say it, but they short the conversation in a way that it's out of context, and then the people is starting to comment, wow, they believe that and that and that, and now it's friend of that, that and that. And it's like, well, you can see the whole conversation, you can see the whole interview, you can see a clear context of what is really happening, and then you can do your comments. But I think that at least the Mexican culture is too lazy for that. They just see the short videos and they feel like experts of a topic, and I don't think that it's something good.
Yeah, exactly. I become a professional YouTuber because I just saw a 2 minute clip of a news, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But how do you get rid of that, or how do you surpass or overcome that? Because that's a phenomena that is becoming more and more common. All of a sudden, I watch a 2 video clip, a 2 minute
Mm-hmm.
video clip,
Mm-hmm.
and then I say, "Oh, that's wrong," and then I become a person, an expert on the topic in quotation marks, and then I convince 30, 50, 200 people that this situation is wrong when I know only the tip of the iceberg, as you correctly pointed out. How
Yeah.
can we stop that or prevent it or clear it or clean it? Or what can we do, Mickey?
Mm, well, I think that media influence in a way that it's that at least at this moment I think that it's difficult to solve, because the same media, the same news, the same newspaper, they just show us uh, just a part. How do you say it?
The tip of the iceberg.
Just the tip of the iceberg, and I think that the way to solve that is to have like this habit of reading or habit of really analyze that what we're seeing, a video, an interview, an audio, just as I try to understand the context and try to be a little bit how can I say it, not too easy to convince, you know. I think that that's the issue that here, at least here in Mexico, that they, if one party gives you uh, a little sandwich and 500 pesos, probably you're gonna vote for them instead of
Yeah,
really searching their proposals, you know. So I think that it's it's a cultural problem.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't
That's
know.
true. And then you said that people normally are lazy. They don't want, as you said, they don't want to further the research. They don't want to do a whole research. We just see the tip of the iceberg, and we think we know the whole story when we ignore the rest. But we don't want to go down below the water, under the water, and do a rich a research and an analysis of the whole situation. So we just submit our opinion, and we start to pontificate. This is the true. This is false. And when in
Exactly.
reality, yeah, okay, that's very interesting, Mickey. Thank you very much. Well,
Yes.
let's see. Let's continue with what it says.
Yeah. Are you concerned about direction? I don't like it, but my duty is to say what I think is useful. We're in an age where mannequin, or how do you say it?
Manichaean.
Manichaean thinking and simplistic alternatives masquerade as knowledge or thought, and in the current conditions, it's increasingly difficult to defend a complex vision of things. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, here he comes again with the concept of complexity. In his
Mhm.
ideology or his idea or his vision of complexity is what we once talked about the forest. You cannot see the forest unless you come up, like with the helicopter view. Actually, he's the author of that idea, although he didn't call the helicopter view. But you come
Mhm.
up with the forest in a helicopter, and then you can say, oh, the forest is very large, or it's very small, it's very dense, it's very shallow, the
Mhm.
etc. but you need to come out of the forest. If you're inside the forest, you cannot see it all. You just
Hmm.
see the trees.
Yeah.
So that's more or less, in very simplistic terms,
Hmm.
his idea of complex systems. Okay,
Yeah.
let's continue then, Mickey.
You say you are the heir of the philosophers Montaigne and Spinoza. Yes, because Montaigne advised that we should practice doubt and self-knowledge. He had a very human spirit. He said, "Every man is my countryman." He is the first anti-colonialist, and Spinoza made a great revolution in modern thought by ending the idea of a superior and external God who is the creator and owner of the world. He gave creative sovereignty to nature.
Okay, so he's a more naturalistic person, while Montaigne um, said the same thing that you're saying, right? We need to know ourselves better and practice doubt.
Hmm. Yeah.
Montaigne is a guy that we should probably, people in general, should probably study, because he was a great philosopher, and he was against the colonialism. And he says that he was an anti-colonialist himself.
Hmm.
What do you think about conquering? Do you think, well, it has happened and probably will continue to happen? What would be the world like if we were not just trying to conquer others, to dominate others, but how would life be? Maybe it's necessary, maybe it's not. I mean, animals need to survive in the jungle. The people say, imagine a world in peace where tigers don't hunt zebras. And I think, honestly, if that is possible, if life would be possible, or if we are really so different from animals in this way, if we are really not, if we shouldn't be predators, is that life possible? What do you think?
Uh, mm, I don't know. It's a it's a good question. I think that, well, we're talking about history, right? About the history of conquering and how some countries conquer other, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And
Uh-huh.
the question is that during centuries,
Hmm.
some powerful nations have conquered the weak nations.
Yeah.
Some strong civilizations have conquered the weak civilizations.
Hmm.
Knowledge conquers ignorance.
Hmm.
The boss subdues the ignorant. And the word sounds horrible, and I'm sorry to say it like that. Maybe I should use other words, but to be
Yeah.
succinct, is another design of society possible, or it is impossible that we replace the system?
I would love to say that is possible, but in reality, I think that this system has worked since a long, long time ago, and I think that the question could be, who gives them the power to do that? Who gives them the like the concession to conquer one country and just disappear cultures, ideas, religions? I don't know. It is difficult, but at least at this moment, I don't know other, how to say, like other way to see it. I don't
Right.
know. That's a good question. I would like to know your opinion in this question too.
Yeah, I have not an absolute response that I can say, well, the world can be otherwise, because history has shown us that the Romans conquered the Greek. The Romans had a great empire,
Hmm.
but they also learned from the Greek. The the nations have conquered other nations through history, and the the modern world has shown us that there is always conquering in society, even if it is in pacific ways. You can say that the Asians, the Japanese are conquering, the Chinese are conquering the world without war. And you can
Yeah.
talk about ethical ways. You can say, well, this is ethical because at least you don't hurt others with violence. Is that better? Maybe yes. You don't need wars to conquer other nations. You can subdue or convince or conquer. This concept of domination is a philosophical concept. Actually, sociologists talk about it. And in the practical terms, well, this happens. This is what it is. This is what you said a few minutes ago, right? It is what it is. You cannot say that it does not exist, right? It is what it
Yeah.
is. But on the other hand, you see it from ethical perspectives and you say, well, it is what it is, but is it right? That means,
Hmm.
should we change it? Should we avoid it? Should we fight against it? Or should we foster it? Should we permit it, allow it? Should we encourage it? Should we motivate it? That is what makes it different and
Yeah.
challenging, Mickey. What do you think?
Yeah, that is true. Like the example that you said about China, that they are in a way conquering the world. Obviously, not with wars, not with imposing something, but in a way, you can see all the products that is around you, more the electronic products, and the majority was manufactured or made in China. So, so yeah, I think that ethics must be a fundamental uh, part in this situation. And obviously, I know that in the past, probably the ethics doesn't exist in the way that we see now. But but yeah, I think that now we have like the capability to understand more what is right and what is not, and really doing it.
Yeah,
Doing that,
yeah,
doing using that knowledge.
yeah. I have come to have a principle that I still have to discuss. I don't know, with smart people, maybe my brother. See what you think yourself, Mickey. What other people have in mind about that, the principle. But the principle in my mind, very simplistic, maybe, but is uh, become strong while still being good, because they are not opposites. And when I say strong, refers not only to physical strength, it refers to knowledge, to have uh, power, to have knowledge, to have ability to I mean, to be strong in all the sense of the word. Become strong while still being good. You don't want to become I don't want to become an evil person. I want to always be a positive influence to my friends, to my family, to my daughters, to my students, to my neighbors, to my family. I want to be a positive influence, but I also don't want to be weak. I
Hmm.
mean, you want to be respected, and so this is a principle that I have come to shape. I don't know if people will share with this idea with me, but what do you think of this idea of becoming strong while you're still good?
Yeah, um, I agree with this idea. I think that I don't remember exactly where I read. There's a quote that says, "You can have the capability to kill someone, but without do it." It's like, well, you have the power to act in a way, but I think that at the end, the ethics prevails. You know, I think that there must be a balance. You don't have to be weak because people could take advantage. You don't have to be too strong because you take advantage of the other people. You can
Right.
be strong, but at the end, keep the balance, knowing what is right and what is not. And yeah, I think so. It's correct.
Yeah, and in the context of of strong, it means strong means knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That you have the knowledge, that you have the information, you have the connections, you have the
Hmm.
technology, that you're a capable person, you have the capacity.
Hmm.
Not that you have nuclear weapons in your house. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that is the context of the word strong. Be strong is being capable, have everything that you need to succeed in life and make your people, your brothers, your sisters, your sons, your daughters, your family to succeed, to have a happy and peaceful life, your neighbors, and contribute to your society. You cannot do that if you don't have the knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah,
If you
yeah,
if
that's true.
you if you are not a competent person, how can you help others? If I am not competent, we need to be competent. That is the meaning of strong here in this context. What do
Hmm.
you think about this idea, Mickey?
Yeah, of course. I think that if we want to teach something, at least we need to know about it. We need to understand what we're teaching and not just because if we don't have the knowledge, we cannot like figure it out. We cannot be a figure to the other people because we don't have uh, the knowledge to teach that. So so yeah, you have the capabilities to do whatever you want, but at the end, you know what is right and what is not. I think
Yeah,
so.
that is crucial, Mickey. Very good. Well, I think this was another excellent conversation. Thank you
Yes,
very much
teacher.
for sharing your points of view.
Thank you.
And well, we work when Friday, which is tomorrow, right? No,
Friday it's
a couple of
a
days.
couple of days. Yeah, today's Wednesday.
How about that, Mickey? Should we work on
Yes, sure.
Friday? Yes.
Yeah, at 9.
9? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
teacher.
All right. Thank you very much, Mickey. Have a wonderful
Thank you
day.
for your time, teacher. You
Thank you
too.
for your comments. Take care. See you on Friday then.
See you
Enjoy.
on Friday, teacher. Take care.
Take
Thank
care.